Hello beautiful people of the internet, how are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to recap and review Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. It was really weird watching the episode last night because I genuinely had no idea what the episode title was. HBO has not released the titles for Season 8, and even when I was watching on my laptop, because I'm at college, it's how I have to watch Game of Thrones, the episode description on Xfinity was not telling me the title, so I was on Twitter asking people, does anybody know what the title of this episode is? But it was actually titled Winterfell, which honestly I think probably would have been a better title for episode 3, but that's besides the point. I am going to need to be reading through an episode recap on my computer because I didn't take any notes during this episode, and honestly I just don't have a lot of time today to film this video. I was thinking I would just film it this morning, and then I realized that I had scheduled a meeting with the professor for 10 a.m. which was prime filming time that I now wasted at a meeting, so hopefully this is okay. Next week I will go home for the weekend, so hopefully I will be a little more prepared. I'm just gonna try to talk through the episode, tell you guys my thoughts, feelings, opinions, my theories about it, and please give me your thoughts in the comments section down below. So this episode starts with Jon and Daenerys heading into Winterfell with all of their men, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, the 2 dragons, and the northern people are very wary of these newcomers. I mean, I would imagine it is really strange to see an Unsullied army and the Dothraki and 2 grown dragons if you've never seen them before. And it's not a great reception for Daenerys. And Jon reminds her, the Northerners don't trust outsiders, so Daenerys is going to need to work hard to earn their trust. We also see Arya, who has gone into the town to watch the procession, and when she saw Jon, the Hound, and Gendry, I was freaking out inside because I love all 3 of those dynamics. She was definitely surprised to see the Hound alive. I was kind of confused why she didn't seem that shocked to see Gendry. Like, I kind of assumed that she thought Gendry was dead, but when she saw him, she didn't look surprised at all, which was a little interesting. Also, was it just me, or was there a little, like, romantic swell in the music when she saw him? Like, did I just imagine that, or did anybody else notice that? I absolutely loved seeing Jon finally get to see Bran again. He just ran over to Bran and hugged him and kissed him on the forehead, which was so sweet. I absolutely loved that moment, but unfortunately, Bran is now the 3-eyed raven and he doesn't have the same emotions that he used to, so he does not give Jon the same emotional response back. Daenerys introduced herself to Sansa, saying the North is beautiful and so is Sansa, and Sansa still is not so keen on Daenerys, which this whole thing makes me very conflicted because I understand where Sansa is coming from. I don't know if I would like it if my brother gave our kingdom away to someone who I have never met. And obviously, even though we've been watching Daenerys for 7 complete seasons, Sansa has never met her before. Sansa knows absolutely nothing about this woman, and she's probably heard some pretty nasty rumors about what Daenerys is like. So I get that. But I also don't want the show to spend so much time focusing on this little Sansa-Daenerys feud. Like, why should the show waste time on this stupid girl-on-girl hate storyline when we have the White Walkers to deal with? I hope that in episode 3, when the Night King comes, Sansa and Arya are going to get a rude awakening and realize that this is a big deal, and realize why Jon is telling them, you know, we don't have time to worry about this right now. And I just really hope that this dislike of Daenerys in the North is going to not be a season-long storyline because I'm already kind of tired of it. Now, Bran shuts down any happy reunions pretty quickly, and we have a meeting in the Great Hall with all the Northern Bannermen who, like I said, are not too happy that Jon's bent the knee to Daenerys. I get that, but like I said, I hope the show doesn't waste too much time on this the North doesn't like Daenerys storyline, because we have more pressing issues to deal with, and, you know, Daenerys has sacrificed a lot to come here and help them. She agreed to help Jon before Jon bent the knee, and she lost one of her dragons, saving Jon's life. So I hope that soon the Northerners will realize that Daenerys is not their enemy. She is here to help them. We also see Sansa send young Ned Umber to go rally his men, and that's when I knew that he was dead. I was like, goodbye, Ned Umber. It was nice knowing you. You're gonna be the first casualty of season 8. But we'll get back to that later. Sansa is nervous about how she's going to feed all of Daenerys' armies and her dragons, which is totally understandable, though I did think it was funny when Daenerys said that dragons eat whatever they want. That was pretty hilarious. Some people interpreted that as Daenerys threatening Sansa, and I don't think it was meant to be that way at all. I think it was just that Sansa had been giving Daenerys side-eye since Daenerys came to Winterfell, so Daenerys was kind of annoyed and just being snarky back. Then we got to see Sansa and Tyrion reunite again, which honestly was like a little bit disappointing. I do really like some of Sansa's lines in that scene. I thought it was very funny when she said that Joffrey's wedding had its moments. That was funny. And honestly, I do think that she's right. I used to love Tyrion. Tyrion is one of my favorite characters, but since season 7-ish, maybe even beginning in season 6, I've been really annoyed with some of his decisions. He's made lots of stupid decisions when giving Daenerys advice. He caused them to lose the Greyjoys and the Sand Snakes with his plan, and then it was his idea for them to go beyond the wall to get a white, which we all know how that worked out. It ended up with Daenerys losing one of her dragons, and I think Sansa is right that they shouldn't trust Cersei. Sansa and Tyrion should both know that Cersei is not someone who honors her word, so I feel like Sansa was totally right to call Tyrion out in that instance, because you should never trust Cersei to do the right thing. Then we get to see Jon and Arya reunite, which is honestly the moment I've been waiting for this entire series. And I loved that it was a private moment between just the two of them, and when they saw each other and she ran into his arms, my heart melted. Jon looked like he was about to start crying, and I kind of wanted to cry. It was beautiful. I am a little worried that we're going to see Arya take Sansa's side and not like Daenerys. I was honestly really thinking that Arya and Daenerys were going to get along great. Arya has always admired Targaryen women. She's been fascinated by dragons. I thought these two are going to become instant besties. However, when Jon tries to complain about Sansa to Arya, Arya comes to Sansa's defense. I get that because last season we saw Littlefinger try to pit Sansa and Arya against each other. So maybe now they want to stick together and don't want to let anyone pit them against each other again. But I also just don't want to see like Sansa and Arya ganging up on Daenerys. I don't want this like girl feud to take up a lot of screen time. I think that they really need Daenerys' help, and I want to see the Starks be like, okay, we can worry about the throne later. We need to focus on the walkers. And I really want them to get along because I love all three of these characters. I love Sansa, I love Arya, and I love Daenerys. So I don't want them to have this rivalry that's gonna take up screen time in the final season when they could be allies and be getting along instead. Also, Arya's character has always been so loyal to Jon. Jon is pretty much the most important person in the world to her, and last season she was ready to like cut Sansa's face off just because Sansa was letting people insult Jon. So it's hard for me to believe that she would, like, I don't want to say choose Sansa over Jon because I don't think like she has to choose right now, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like Arya would give Jon the benefit of the doubt, and it doesn't really feel in character for me for her to agree with Sansa and not like Daenerys if it comes to that. Like, that would just feel not right to me. Then we go down to King's Landing where, surprise, surprise, Cersei really doesn't care that the wall has come down. Euron Greyjoy brings her the Golden Company. He still has Yara held captive on his ship. And Cersei is really disappointed that there are no elephants with the Golden Company. And sorry girl, seems they spent all the CGI budget on the dragons this year. Which also reminds me, we didn't get to see Ghost this episode, and I am still salty about that. Where is Ghost? You couldn't have put him in this episode for 1 second, please? So, Cersei decides that she's going to sleep with Euron, which I'm not digging it, but while Euron is distracted, Theon is able to rescue Yara, which honestly happened so much earlier in the season and so much easier than I thought it was going to. I really thought we were going to have to wait a couple episodes for this and that Theon was going to have this huge showdown with Euron and he was going to die. I guess maybe we'll see a Greyjoy siblings versus Euron battle later because I do really want to see them take him down. But But, Theon rescues Yara this episode. That's good, and Yara gives him permission to go to Winterfell and help the Starks because she knows that's really where his heart is. And I loved Yara's line, "What is dead may never die, but kill the bastards anyway." That was great. We have a scene where Davos, Tyrion, and Varys are talking about Jon and Daenerys, and Davos says that he thinks after the war, Jon and Daenerys should get married and rule together. They would make a great couple, and I agree. Davos is totally captaining the SS Jon Aerys, and I ship it too, so I'm totally on Davos' side. I also think these two need to get married. Then we go to a scene with Jon and Daenerys where they go out to see the dragons who have not been eating because they don't really like the North. And Daenerys wants Jon to try to ride Rhaegal, which honestly, I feel like this whole Jon becoming a dragon rider thing was kind of weirdly situated. It was weird to me that Daenerys gets the idea for Jon to ride a dragon before she knows he's a Targaryen. How did she get that idea? Because I thought only people with Valyrian blood can ride dragons. So what is it that made her think maybe Jon would be able to? Is it just because the dragons like him and don't react poorly to him? They like people like Missandei too, and Daenerys has never tried to get her to ride a dragon. Is it because she knows that the Night King has her dragon, so she thinks, well, maybe people who aren't Targaryens can ride dragons? I don't know. It was a little weird to me that she was riding a dragon at this point, but whatever, it's fine. I did think this was a really cute sequence. There were some funny moments, and I absolutely loved seeing Jon and Daenerys' scene by the waterfall. It was really adorable. The calm before the storm. Then we get to a scene that I have been greatly anticipating where Arya gets to reunite with the Hound and Gendry. Her talk with the Hound was very brief, but I did enjoy it. I kind of like how he gave her this backhanded compliment because I think the Hound is someone who doesn't really tell people when he likes them. He tries to act tough, but I do think he has a soft spot for Arya, even if she did leave him to die. And I absolutely loved how Arya said, "First I robbed you." That was great. I also really like how the very first scene where Arya and Gendry met in season 1, he came in to defend her because Hot Pie and Lami were trying to take her sword. And this time she comes into the forge and she defends Gendry because the Hound is insulting him. So I really liked that parallel. Now, honestly, with this Arya and Gendry scene, it's starting to get my hopes up a little bit, and I'm worried that I'm going to be let down. I didn't really ship Arya and Gendry the first time I watched Game of Thrones. It was only when I read the books and I saw their dynamic in the books and how in the books they kind of have crushes on each other, but they don't want to admit it, that I really started to be like, oh yeah, I ship this. I really like them together. But I wasn't expecting anything to happen in the final season as much as I really wanted it to. I didn't want to get my hopes up. And now seeing their interactions in this scene, my hopes are up. They were totally flirting with each other, in my opinion. I mean, Gendry saying that she looks good. You could tell that he was so uncomfortable and didn't know what to say. And I loved him calling her Lady Stark and Milady. He made her laugh, and it was so nice to see Arya laugh this episode because she has not gotten to laugh in quite a while. It does not happen often, so I enjoyed seeing Arya reconnect with the 3 guys who mean the most to her. And I also like how Arya was kind of teasing him, and when she walked out of the forge, she did this little spin, which was so cute. It was kind of she's cute and she knows it. She knows that Gendry is into her and she's just making the most of it. That's how I interpret it anyway. I thought it was really cute. And it makes me excited that maybe there could be a potential romance between these two, but it also makes me nervous because I don't want the show to kill Gendry. I really would hate that. I would hate it if Gendry came back to the show just for the show to murder him in order to make Arya go through more pain. I want a nice happy ending for Arya, possibly with Gendry, and I don't want Gendry to die and become a white, and that would be awful. So I'm equal parts excited and terrified after watching this Gendry scene. Okay, I didn't think this was the next scene, but it's what's next in the recap, so I'm going to talk about it next. We see Tormund and Beric and a couple other men who all survived the collapse of the wall going to some castle. It was really dark and really hard to see on my computer, even with the brightness all the way up. I don't know if they were at Castle Black, or I guess they were at Last Hearth. I guess that's where they were. I don't know. They were somewhere, and they run into Dolorous Edd and the Men of the Night's Watch, which that moment was hilarious, where Dolorous Edd says he has blue eyes and Tormund goes, "I've always had blue eyes." That was, I think, the funniest moment of the episode for me. I love Tormund. He's great comic relief. And then when they're walking through, they see that Ned Umber has been murdered, and he's been impaled on the wall with this really weird design from the White Walkers, and I'm not entirely sure what exactly this symbol means, but it's very similar to ones that we've seen before. And I saw something on Twitter where someone said they thought it looked almost like the Targaryen three-headed dragon sigil, which is interesting. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that it's supposed to represent the Targaryen sigil? Or if not, what do you think this means? Is it possible that the Night King is a Targaryen? Is that at all possible? Like, I don't know. I'm like really confused, honestly. This Night King plotline has always confused me. I don't really know what to make of it, so you guys tell me in the comments, do you think this looks like the Targaryen sigil? And let me tell you, when little Ned Umber became reanimated and let out that shrill screaming, I had my headphones in, I was not expecting it at all, and I like jumped in my chair and screamed. It caught me so off guard. It was not great. It was so loud in my headphones, and yikes. Then we have a really awkward scene in Winterfell's library where Daenerys and Jorah encounter Sam. I thought this was kind of weird how later we find out that Jon didn't even know Sam was here, but yet somehow Daenerys and Jorah knew and sought him out, but yet like Daenerys didn't know that he was a Tarly, or maybe she did know he was a Tarly but didn't realize he was Randall's son. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird, like how Jon didn't know that he was there and Sam didn't go to greet Jon in any sort of way that is supposed to be his best friend. I thought that was a little weird. And honestly, this like moment is so hard for me because I totally understand where everyone is coming from. I mean, I don't think Daenerys was wrong to burn the Tarlys, because obviously from a modern standpoint, you should not burn anyone because they won't bend the knee to you. That's just wrong. But I feel like in the Westeros morality, like she wasn't in the wrong there. The Tarlys did betray their liege lord, Olenna Tyrell, and help conspire to murder her. Well, maybe I phrased that wrong. They were complicit in her murder. They took up arms against their liege lady who had bent the knee to Daenerys. So I feel like Daenerys was in the right to punish them like she did. Also, you know, when Jaime and the Lannister men sacked Highgarden, do you think that Jaime gave all the Tyrell men the opportunity to bend the knee? Because I don't think so, but nobody calls him crazy for doing that. Just saying, I think that's double standard. But at the same time, like, I totally understand why this is so upsetting for Sam. I mean, I didn't think that he was going to care about his father, which it seems like he didn't that much, because Randall was an abusive piece of trash, so who cares about him? But I do think, you know, Dickon was maybe not the brightest boy, but he seemed like a nice kid, and I can totally understand why Sam would be upset about the loss of his brother. And again, kind of like what I said earlier, Sam has never met Daenerys before. He doesn't know what kind of person she is, so it's not like he could understand where she's coming from. He doesn't know her character. He wasn't there when his father and brother were burned. So I can totally understand why he would sort of feel, I don't know if resentment is the right word, why he could want Jon, his best friend, to be the king instead of this woman who he doesn't know, who burnt his family. I totally get that. Now, poor baby Sam totally needs a moment to get his emotions in check, except Bran tells Sam, you have to go tell Jon now on your own. And I was just like, Bran, this is not the right moment. Can't you just give Sam a second? He just got some bad news. And because of that, I don't think this was the best way they could have possibly broken the news to Jon. I think they could have done it in a much better way, but Bran forced Sam to go do it in a moment where Sam had a lot of emotions and he was probably angry at Daenerys and also really sad. So he goes to find Jon in the crypts where Jon is by Ned's statue. And one thing that I didn't realize until I was on Twitter after the episode is that the last time Jon saw Ned in season 1, the last time he saw Ned alive, Ned said, "The next time we see each other, we'll talk about your mother." And when Jon finds out who his mother is, he's visiting Ned's crypt for the first time. So technically, the next time Jon saw Ned, though it was after Ned had passed, someone told him about his mother. So the next time they saw each other, they talked about his mother. And that blew my mind when I realized that. But so basically, Sam tells Jon that Daenerys burnt his father and brother, which Jon did not know about. And Sam asks Jon if he would have done that, to which Jon says, you know, I did execute people for disobedience before. And I think that is a good point. I like that Jon did stick up for Daenerys in that way, because I think, you know, there's lots of people in Westeros who would have done the same thing that Daenerys did. Jon has executed people before. He executed Janos Slynt for not following his orders, so I don't think it's really fair to hate on Daenerys for burning the Tarlys, when I think within Westeros, it's an understandable thing to do. I think, you know, it's complicated, and I don't think it's fair to hate her for that when other people have done similar things. And I think the thing is, again, Jon may not have burnt the Tarlys, but that's because he knows Sam, and Sam is his best friend. Daenerys had never met Sam until this episode, so that's another thing I think you have to consider when thinking about this. Maybe Jon wouldn't have done it, but that's because of his personal feelings with Sam that may have gotten in the way. So Sam tells Jon who his parents are and that he is Aegon Targaryen, the rightful king. I hope this show just never starts calling Jon Aegon, because he's always going to be Jon Snow in my heart. I refuse to call him Aegon. He's Jon forever and always to me. And I wonder if for a moment when Sam said Lyanna was his mother, Jon just had this moment of panic, like, oh my god, Ned and Lyanna? Like, I was like, Sam, maybe you should have prefaced with, Ned's not your real father. Maybe that would have been a better way to go. But anyways, I feel like Jon's reaction was very much in character, where he has a hard time believing that Ned, who is so honorable, would have lied to him his entire life. But then Sam brings up the point that he made a promise to Lyanna and he knew Robert would kill him. And then Jon still is hesitant to the idea of becoming king. He says Daenerys is our queen, and when Sam says, well, she shouldn't be, Jon says, well, that's treason, you can't say that. So I do like that Jon is still going to defend Daenerys a little bit, because I really do like Daenerys, and I like Jon and Daenerys as a couple. And my ideal ending would be for Jon and Daenerys to rule together as equals. That is my ideal ending for the show. I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not. And Sam says, you gave up your crown to save your people. Would Daenerys do the same? And again, I understand where Sam is coming from. Sam doesn't know Daenerys. Sam doesn't know what kind of person she is. He probably doesn't have a great idea of her right now based on the limited information he has. However, I think Daenerys kind of did give up her crown to go help the people. I mean, not exactly, but she agreed to help Jon before Jon had even bent the knee. And she was willing to put her quest for the Iron Throne aside to come help them against the White Walkers. So I think that shows that her throne is not the most important thing to her. And I think that shows that she is a good person at heart and she does want to help them. I'm just hoping that soon the other characters will see that as well, and that we're not going to have this anti-Daenerys thing going on for a very long time. Because I'm already kind of sick of it. And I'm kind of sick of the fandom's shit and those double standards they have towards Daenerys. And honestly, the Sansa stans are so anti-Daenerys that it's starting to make me dislike Sansa, which sucks because I've always liked Sansa. And I'm not saying if you're out there and you love Sansa, that means that I think you're annoying or that I think you're an anti. I'm just saying, like, on Tumblr, I'm seeing so much negative Daenerys stuff from Sansa fans or Jon and Sansa shippers, and it's really starting to color my opinion of Sansa, like by association, which sucks. I don't think you need to knock Daenerys down to praise Sansa, and I'm just really sick of people giving Daenerys so much shit. I think Daenerys is a good person, and I don't think she's going to go dark. I don't think there's any foreshadowing for that. I mean, yeah, she does some morally gray things, but so does everyone else on the show, and I feel like other characters get forgiven so much easier, especially if they're male characters, but we don't need to go into that. I'm just saying I don't want this Daenerys is a bad person narrative to go on, because I just don't think it's true, and I think it's annoying. Then we get to the final scene of the episode, which I absolutely loved. We see that Bran's waiting in the courtyard of Winterfell, and he says he's there waiting for an old friend. And who is that old friend? No one but Jaime Lannister, who shows up at Winterfell, disembarks his horse, and then gets the surprise of his life when he comes face to face with the same kid, now grown up, who he once pushed out of the window. And oh my god, this moment was great. When the episode ended, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's over. I need to see next week's episode right now. Bran really like sat out there in the courtyard for hours, maybe even days, just waiting for his moment to see Jaime and be like, hey bitch, surprise. And that's just like, that's the level of petty that I aspire to. Bran really is that bitch. It was fantastic. So overall, I really liked this episode. I do think it left me like a little bit like, that's it. It went by so fast. This episode was only 54 minutes, which is kind of short for a Game of Thrones episode. So when it was over, I was really disappointed that it was over already. It went by so quickly, but I get that they really had to do a lot of setup in this episode, get everyone where they need to be. So I'm excited to see how the storyline is going to progress in the coming episodes. And I am excited for when we start getting into those longer episodes, because man, this one went by so fast. I just want to fast forward to next week so I can see the new episode. I need more. The episode left me wanting more. I liked it a lot. I just think, it was only the first episode of the season. Everything that happened was really something I could have predicted. There was nothing that shocking in it. Oh, I totally forgot one scene because it wasn't in this recap. Qyburn is sending Bronn north, asking him to kill Jaime and Tyrion, and oh my god, I did not see that coming. I thought that Bronn was gonna go north to help Jaime, and wow, like I like Bronn, but if he betrays the Lannister brothers, ooh, we're gonna have problems, mister. So guys, those are my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. I did like this episode and I am super excited for next week. Let me know, what did you think about this episode? Was there anything else of note that I forgot to mention in this recap? I'm sorry that I didn't take notes about the episode. I really was just struggling today to find time to film this video. So next week I'm gonna go home the entire weekend and I'm gonna film the video at home. I'm gonna have more time, so I think I'll be more prepared next week. But thanks for putting up with this. I feel like this is probably a really long video. We'll see when I edit it. All right, so talk to me in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Please like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.